Hey everyone, welcome to She Blurbs podcast. I have a breast cancer survivor, Marci Cox. Today I'm interviewing her about her book and breast cancer. So, can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi Brooke, thanks for having me. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018 with stage 3 breast cancer, and it was a shock. It wasn't run in my family, and so it was a total shock to me. And I have kids, and at the time they were 1 and 5. Currently they're 3 and 7.
Wow.
So.
It's good that you survived. Like, I don't know how I would have reacted. I probably would have cried a lot.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I totally did. And the way that I found it, because I was never really the type to do self-exams.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was in the shower with my oldest at the time, and I said, I'm just going to do a self-exam while she's, showering and everything. And so I did, and I felt something, and it was crazy because I yelled out to my husband, I think I feel something, I need you to check it. And so, after I got out of the shower, he did, and he goes, oh, you better go see the doctor. And now I had gone in, and I was 40 at the time. I'm 42 currently. And so, you normally don't get your mammogram till you're 40, 50s. Mm-hmm. And I had gotten one, I think when I was 38, because I had felt something on the right side, and we found out it was a fibroid. And so this time around, it ended up being on the left side. And so I immediately went to my gynecologist. I was able to get in, and she felt it too. And she thought the same thing. She goes, maybe it's just your fibroid coming back. Mm-hmm. And she goes, but I'm still going to have you go get an ultrasound and a mammogram.
Right.
Because a lot of women too, they have dense breasts. And so I guess that's what mine were. I mean, I was small anyway, Brooke. So, I mean, I was a 36 barely B. I mean, I barely filled out that bra, And so, I got scheduled in for the mammogram. And it's interesting because they can do the 3D mammograms now. Mm-hmm. But it was going to take me longer to get in to do the 3D mammogram. And so something in the back of my head was saying to me, you need to get in sooner. Right. And I tell you, and I tell all the ladies out there, you listen to your head, you listen to your gut, because you know your body, And so I got in sooner, and we did the mammogram and the ultrasound. And I remember sitting there, and the radiologist comes in, and she goes, can you sit around for another hour? I'd like to do a biopsy. Wow. And I go, yeah, I guess so, and it kind of scares you. Mm-hmm. But, so they did the biopsy. And as a breast cancer survivor, I mean, you remember those dates and those times. I mean, it'll never go out of my head. It was November 13th, 2018. Wow. Was the day of my mammogram biopsy.
Well, let me ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
So when you did feel your breast, was it like how, because I'm trying to, because I do mine every day, and I feel like little lumps, but I don't think they're cancerous or anything. But how do you know if it's a cancer lump?
Well, I'm glad that you do it, more than most women do it. Mm-hmm. And so you really need to learn your body. And there were things, and you can Google it too, that I didn't realize. When you look at your breast, if you have discharge coming out of the nipple, or if your breasts are indented, or they just, they look different, they feel different. Like if those lumps change at all, like if those are normal lumps and you feel those all the time, they probably are just normal. But if it's something that you don't notice, or you go, because mine was kind of like in the armpit area, like right over here. Oh. And I had just started working out again. So I thought maybe I pulled something while I was working out. But it was like, it was a lump. And yeah, so I mean, I now have one of those hanging things in my shower, because I have a stepdaughter who's 17, that shows you, what to look for and how to feel your breast and all that. And, I'm a big advocate of that now. And so you really got to know your body.
Mm-hmm. I'm definitely gonna make sure I pay attention. So what stage did you say you were diagnosed with again?
So I was stage 3. They really thought I was not that. They thought, and there's different things. They call them like grades. So they kind of think how big your tumor is, because they thought my tumor, I think, was 0.9. But after my surgery, I ended up doing a double mastectomy without reconstruction. I didn't want to have implants. I didn't want to do reconstruction. It ended up being stage 3. And the tumor, I think, was, I want to say 5 centimeters. I mean, it was big. Yeah. And I actually had my doctor take a picture of it.
Oh, wow. Your doctor took a picture of it?
Oh, yeah. I asked her. I mean, you couldn't really see it. She showed me the breast tissue, because I'm the type where I take pictures of everything. I document everything. Like for my girls, I do big picture albums every year, like year in review. So I documented my whole cancer journey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, Brooke, I did YouTube videos like the day I found out. I mean, I couldn't post it yet because my parents were actually out of the country. And so, of course, you want to tell your family first. So I waited about a week till they got home. And then I posted it. And then I documented everything from going through my chemo, through my radiation, from me getting bald. And then I'm still doing those videos because it's the aftermath too. And a lot of women don't realize that after you go through all of your treatments, there's still side effects. I'm on a long-term drug for about 10 years. I started with tamoxifen and I ended up switching to letrozole. And tamoxifen and letrozole, because I'm 42 now, will put me into menopause. So it's pre-menopause. Yeah. And then I also do it's a Zoladex shot, which is every 3 months, that they actually insert into my stomach. It's a big needle pellet thing that goes in, and that also helps with stopping the ovaries.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, so there's side effects too. And even though I look fine and I'm clear, I'm cancer-free 2 years, I'm still not fine though, because I have side effects. I've got aches and pains, and I'm gaining weight because of the medication that I'm on. And people don't realize that. And so that's why I'm still doing those YouTube videos, to let them know, hey, 2 years down the road, I feel fine overall because I'm cancer-free, but there's still things that are still happening to my body.
That's amazing. So to see your videos, it's on your website. I linked it in the little caption.
Oh, perfect. So, yeah. And I'm a big, like I said, ever since cancer, this has turned into a huge passion of mine to help women. And so when I found out, I started writing, and I ended up writing a children's book because of it.
Yes, that's what I wanted to ask you. So can you let our listeners know about it?
Yeah. So I wrote Mommy Has a Booboo. And because when I was going through it, I was looking for books to read to my oldest at the time. And because I decided to stay flat, there was not a lot of books out there that touched on that subject. And there were some that said, Mommy's having a double mastectomy. Mommy's going to lose her hair. So I told my story. And the book talks about, meeting with the doctors, having surgery, Mommy's going to have to take medicine, so she might lose her hair. And then, but in the end, even though Mommy looks different, she's still the same person. When you hug her, you can you can hug her closer, and she can feel, you can feel her heart beating because you're even closer to her now, because I don't have any breast. And so, yeah, so it's a great book, easy to read. It's for ages 3 to 9. And then to go along with that, so after I was doing that, my oldest still has questions, and she had questions throughout. I did a journal to go along with it. Mommy has a boo-boo, now what? And so when you go through this book, there's questions and coloring pictures from the book there, but questions. Like, for example, this one says, if Mommy has to have chemo, how often do you have to go? And then the child could write down. And then if Mommy's boobies are gone, how do you feel? There's like a sad face, they can color that. So it's a great discussion, because kids are so intuitive. Yes. They've got so many questions. They want to know what's going on. And so I wanted to put those two together, because the children's book, touches base, tells you the story. But then the other one, you can actually sit down with your child and say, okay, here's what Mommy's going to be going through. You know, what questions do you have? And then that's a jump start to it.
Yes, that's amazing. So your book that you wrote, did you give it to your kids and they filled it out and then you spoke to them about what was going on when you was
Well,
doing it?
I wrote this after I was done with all my treatments.
You wrote it after?
Yeah, I wrote it after, but it's funny because I just published all of this in December. I published a children's book, and then I wrote these journals. I actually wrote another journal, and I'll touch base on that one in a second. But my oldest actually was excited because she took the journal and started filling it out. So she actually helped me write it, because I'd go through and I'd say, hey, are these good questions? What questions did you have? You know, and so she helped with that one. And she still writes in it. I have another blank journal too. It's just it's just a line journal, but every couple pages it's got inspirational message in there. And she wants that journal. She goes, Mommy, I want that journal just so I could write in it. So yeah, but the other one that I'm pretty excited about, it's called the Breast Cancer GPS. And this is for women. Yeah, this is for women who've been newly diagnosed. And this actually helped me. When I was going through it, I had another friend who had also gone through breast cancer, and she said, you know, you need to go into your doctors and give them, you know, information about you. So your medical history, what other families members have cancer, you know, what surgeries have you had? And so it's got that in there, as well as like what current medications that you're on. It's got questions to ask the doctors, questions to ask your oncologist, your radiologist, your plastic surgeon, your breast surgeon. Because when you find out, it's like you have so many questions. You know, which direction do I want to go? Do I want to have a lumpectomy? Do I want to have a mastectomy? Do I want to have a double? So, you know, and there's a list of, you know, a bunch of abbreviations, what everything means, tips and tricks of going through treatments. So it's a great starter journal for anyone that just found out.
That's amazing, because I've worked with people who have survived, well, women who have survived breast cancer, and their first reactions are different. Mine, I'm telling you, I would cry. I would be like, "Am I gonna die?" Like, that would be my first question, because I would be so scared to die. And I'm like, oh man, what thoughts were going through your head though? Like emotions, like what were you feeling?
Oh my goodness. Well, as soon as I found out, I was at my daughter's swim lesson. Okay. It was like 3:45 in the afternoon. She was about to get in, and I called my husband. I said, I still haven't heard. They told me I'd find out today. And it was the next day. So my mammogram and stuff was on a Wednesday. So I called that afternoon. I kept calling all day. They hadn't got my results. And the nurse goes, okay, let me be right back. And so she gets back on the phone, and those words you never forget. I'm so sorry you have cancer.
What?
And I went, what? Like deer in headlights. Oh my God. What did she just say to me? And I mean, I picked up, I had my 1-year-old in the carrier. I grabbed my oldest and I said, we're getting out of here. And I just started bawling. She sees me cry. She's like, Mommy, what's wrong? Of course, all the people in the swim place were probably like, what is wrong with this lady? But I kept saying to my daughter, everything's going to be fine. Mommy's going to be okay. We're going to fix this thing. Everything's going to be fine. And from then on, I knew I had to be positive. But I also had those emotions too, because I had that in my mind. Oh my God, am I going to die?
Yes.
You know, and there's so many different types of breast cancer. For me, I had what is called hormone positive. So I was ER/PR positive, HER2 negative. I forget what the HER2 stands for, but it's hormone positive. So estrogen positive and stuff. And some women are triple negative, which is a more aggressive type of breast cancer. And then it also depends on the stage. I mean, stage 1, 2, 3. I mean, they're treatable, and thank goodness mine was very treatable. Others, unfortunately, are in stage 4, and unfortunately, you know, is not as treatable. They may just have to be on a drug for, you know, forever. I mean, with mine, I have to be on mine for 10 years. The shot I'm on for 5 years. And so, it just depends. They also say to go get your genes tested, your genetic testing for the BRCA gene. And so luckily I was BRCA negative. If I was positive, I probably also would have had a hysterectomy. And so luckily right now I'm keeping all of that. In a few years that may change. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, because in my family we don't have a history of breast cancer, but I'm the only one of my age that has really big breasts. Like I'm at a 42I. So my other family members, they don't. They have smaller breasts. They don't have breast cancer. And I fear that maybe I might get it, like even though they don't have a history of it, will I get it? And that's something I'm going to definitely ask my daughter.
Now, how old are you, Brooke?
I am 33.
Okay. So you're still young, but I'm going to tell you that doesn't mean anything because my cousin was 33. Okay. She just had a baby and she said to the doctor, I've hit my deductible. My cousin just went through breast cancer. I would like to get a mammogram. And Brooke, I get goosebumps every time I tell the story. They found breast cancer.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. And she was also large. She was, oh my God, what is she? She was like a triple D or an F. Oh. She was big. Yeah. So she ended up doing a lumpectomy and then did a breast reduction. Okay. And then she got very lucky too, because they can also, what they can do is send out the tissue and check for your oncotype score. And that score will determine whether or not chemo will benefit you. I forget the exact numbers. I want to say, I don't know those numbers offhand because they didn't send it out for me because they ended up taking 12 lymph nodes and 4 of them were still precancerous. So my doctor said, you don't have a choice. You're doing chemo. I said, okay. So, and then there's different types of chemo drugs. Yeah, I mean, there's so much. So I ended up doing, it's called the Red Devil, and it's adriamycin and I forget the other one offhand, but it's the Red Devil, which pretty much makes you lose your hair. And so at the time, I thought I was going to do cold caps. I wanted to do that to try to save my hair. And unfortunately, my doctor said with the type of chemo that I'm going to be on, that's not going to happen. So you've got that emotion of, oh my God, I'm going to lose my hair now. Yeah. And so this is 2 years. My hair's growing back. Yeah. But I was positive the whole time. I mean, I ended up having a bye-bye boobie party. So yeah, so I made it fun. I really did. So I had a cake made with breasts and it pinned the tail on the boobie. I put a picture of my face on there and then we, pin. We did another game. I forget what we did. I think we had to make a bra out of, like, instead of a wedding dress, we did it where you had to make a bra on the person.
That's cool.
So just, we had fun with it. And then I kept cutting my hair. I colored it pink. At the end on my second treatment of the Red Devil is when my hair started to fall out. And it's usually the second time you have chemo. And so that morning it started coming out. And I said to my husband, okay, we got to shave it. Yeah. And so we started shaving it. And then the way he was shaving it, it ended up being a mohawk. And I said, let's leave it. Because I'd taken my daughter to school and I said, let's leave it. I'll do the mohawk, for the day and we'll see if it keeps falling out. And so it did start falling out more. So when my daughter came home, I helped her, or she helped me actually shave the rest of it off.
That's awesome.
Got her. And I think that helped too, is to get your kids involved. I ended up, because we knew I was going to lose my hair. So I knew I was going to get some wigs. So I ended up buying rainbow wigs for her and I went up to Party City. I got a short one and a long one, and we had matching wigs. And we ended up taking, my mom was in town at the time. She ended up staying for like a whole year. And we ended up doing a generation photo. So it was my mom and my 2 daughters and me. And then I was bald. And so, we took pictures. Then we took pictures with our wigs on. And again, I made it fun. And I think that's how I got through it, is I had that positivity. Now, Brooke, I had those moments where I broke down and cried. I mean, after I shaved my head you know, because you try to be so strong. But after I shaved my head, I saw my mother and I broke down.
Yeah.
I just started crying again.
So
So
how did your other family members take it? Not your children, but your other family members, like your mom, your dad, and all
yeah,
that.
well, when my mom found out, like I said, my parents were actually out of the country. And so my brother and I had this whole plan that when they came back, we'd sit down, I'd FaceTime with them, ask them how their trip was, and did not end up that way. We started FaceTiming and my brother got there. So they were in Ohio. And so I think at the time it was 3 hours difference. And so he was there at 7 a.m. I was up, you know, it was like 4 or 5 in the morning in Arizona. And my mom goes, "Why is your brother here so early?" And then my brother starts crying. And
Oh.
she goes, "What is wrong? Why is he crying?" And then all of a sudden I break down. I go, "Mommy, I have breast cancer." And of course, her reaction, any mother's reaction is going, "Oh my God, like what?"
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but the rest of my family, my aunts, and uncles, they were just very supportive. They all said, you know, get rid of the breast,
Yeah.
chop them off, you know, and I did my research because, like I said, I could have done the lumpectomy. I could have done. I knew I definitely didn't want implants, but there's another type called deep flap, and that's where they take the tissue and the fat from your. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. But they take it from your abdomen area, or they can take it from the legs and the back, and from the skin and everything, they will make breast out of it.
Oh, wow.
So you kind of joke because you're like, hey, I get a free tummy tuck out of it. It's excruciating because when I researched it, it was a 13-hour surgery. So one, that scared me. I did not want to be under for 13 hours.
Yeah.
And then you've got to do so many different surgeries. You've got to do fat grafting, you know, to make them smoother. You got to make sure that they're the right shape and size. So sometimes you have to go in and fix them. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to go through all that. I just wanted to move on with my life. And I had my girls and, you know, they see me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like that's inspiring to them. It definitely is inspiring to them. So, do you have a specific like supporting group? Like, have you built a support network that you help women with breast cancer?
Yeah, so not officially. I'm on a lot of Facebook support group sites. And a lot of women ask, especially when they've been newly diagnosed, you know, what am I going to feel? What am I going to go through? And so I tell them my story. And of course, every woman is going to be different. Because my first chemo, I was sick the day of, and I kept hearing stories, oh, you'll get sick 2 days later. So I was expecting to feel sick 2 days later instead of the day of. And so, of course, every woman's going to be different in how they feel. So you just tell them as best as you can and tell them, listen, you're going to have your reactions and just give them advice, be there. I mean, that's what we're there. We're all now pink sisters. We've all been through it, whether, your treatment is different than another's. We all have cancer.
Yeah.
And, that's what it comes down to. But I'm on my Facebook or on my website, Floor Publishing. I started to do blogs as well. And like I said, you can also get access to my YouTube videos from there, and you can access all of my books. They're all on Amazon. And I'm there. I've talked to women at all hours. I mean, one time I was up at midnight and some lady texted me, Facebook messaged me and said, hey, are you awake? And I said, kind of, but what's going on? She just wanted to talk. And I said, okay, let's talk. We're still kind of trying, I mean, I'm happy to call people on the phone and just talk to them. And I have done that with a couple of people out of state. And I think it's so helpful just to be there and help out as much as we can. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't have the answers. But I've been there. I've gone through my own journey. And that's all I can give is advice and just be that person I guess to lean on.
That's amazing. So what do you mean why you got sick? Like the medication, the chemo makes you sick?
Yep.
like throwing
Like
up and like
head in the trash can, head in the toilet. Oh yeah. Yeah. So that first weekend, so I had chemo every Friday. Well, on the Red Devil, it was every 2 weeks I would go in. So, but that first weekend, they tell you to be, stay hydrated. And I couldn't drink. I couldn't eat anything. Nothing tasted good. I'd put a spoon in my mouth and I had that metallic taste. It was horrible. And so I tried to drink soup with a straw. I mean,
oh
that's
wow.
how bad it was, just to get something in my stomach. But I mean, I was so nauseous. I kept yelling at my husband saying, call the on-call doctor. Like, what is wrong? Like, because they also say too, if your temperature goes over 100.5, you need to get to the emergency room.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, we kept taking my temperature. Luckily, everything was fine there, but I couldn't eat. And so the doctor just said to my husband, pretend like she's pregnant. Whatever she wants to eat, give it to her. And so, he goes, make it sweet. So he goes, go get pudding with sugar in it. Get sweetened applesauce.
Yeah.
And like even saltine crackers did nothing for me. The Ritz crackers were delicious. So that's what I lived on whatever, that whole time. But then I got smart because they actually over the weekend they had me come in that Monday to get hydrated again. And so from that point on, I said, you're hydrating me immediately after my infusions. So I'd stay like another hour while they gave me fluids. So on Fridays, and then Mondays I would go back in and get more fluids because I'm not a big drinker anyway. And so I wanted those fluids just to keep me. And I'll tell you, that was a game changer. And I tell women on my sites, I said, tell them to hydrate you, because after that, Brooke, I wasn't sick. I worked the entire time. I worked. Now, when I was tired, I took time off for myself and, I take naps, and I still do to this day, because I'm still going through things. And so I'm tired, and then I'll take a step back and get some rest.
Wow, that is awesome. So when you were diagnosed with cancer, did the doctor did they provide any programs or services or anything to help you with the treatment process?
Yeah. So basically, when you meet with your doctors, so initially you would meet with a breast surgeon, but I did all my research. I just started interviewing a bunch of doctors, and so I interviewed 2 breast surgeons. I interviewed 3 oncologists. I only did 1 radiologist because they were also referred to me. And so, of course, the one girl that helped me out and helped me with my breast cancer GPS journal, she did a lot of research, and she's one of those types that does research. So I said, great, I'm going to go with those doctors. But you got to go with who you feel comfortable with as well. And so when I did the oncologist, it was my 3rd oncologist that just was so warm and friendly. And I knew immediately when he walked in that door, that was my doctor. And because he was going to be with me for the next 10 years, I had to make sure I liked him.
Right.
But once I got my team together, the cancer place that I'm through, they've got a nurse navigator, they've got a nutritionist. So during chemo, the nutritionist would come up to me. She ended up giving me a cookbook, cookbook through cancer, and which actually was pretty helpful because they check your white blood count cells. And one time they were low, so I couldn't eat certain foods. I think it was like fruit I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat cooked vegetables or vegetable. Yeah. So there are certain foods you can't eat with certain things. So, for diarrhea, they tell you, here's what you need to eat, or constipation, because I had a lot of that. So there's all these things. And so, so they're there for you. They're there for you, and they're still there for me. If I have issues, I can always email them because I'm on that portal. And so, they're still there, especially because I'm with my doctor for, I don't know, I guess 8 more years, because I'm 8 years out. But there's definitely, so for women out there, you just need to ask. And then I actually met with the social worker too, because like I said, even though I worked, I still had to take a step back in my work. So I got a lot of grants. Oh, wow. And there are grants out there for breast cancer. There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot out there. I ended up getting one of my wigs for free. I ended up getting like my mortgage for 4 months of my mortgage paid. I got house cleaner for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, whatever help, I mean, it's out there. And so women, I had to apply a few times to a bunch of places because there were a few months I got denied, but you just got to keep at it. And some people just, they don't have that motivation, but I say, keep at it, fill out those applications, keep turning them in, and eventually, you're going to get the help.
Yeah.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because I know some jobs, I don't know if some jobs do this, but do jobs like the job you was at, did they let you go or anything? Like when you had cancer?
Self-employed. So yeah, so I'm a realtor full-time, actually, turned author. But so in a way, I mean, but I had other agents that were helping me out. And so of course I compensated them. But I know if you are in a corporate job, you can probably go turn in for FMLA. My husband, I actually made him do that because we were just nervous because, he was going to every treatment with me. And, of course he was missing out. Now he's an online professor anyway, so he can work from home. But, even for your caregiver, that's still a lot of time out for them. And so, of course, you don't want to lose your job. So definitely look into FMLA. And because then, they really they can't fire you.
Yeah.
But, luckily with my husband, his boss was awesome. And, I mean, during chemo, he had his computer there too, and he was working away while I was doing my infusions. So, I mean, he got it done. And he missed a few meetings, but they were great with him. And like I said, I was very fortunate to have my parents in town too. So they would take the girls on the weekends when I had chemo. So we didn't have to, deal with them, and I could focus on just getting rested and getting better.
That's amazing. Yes. What message would you like to provide to women who are in the community, in the breast cancer, like that have cancer and going through it?
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not alone. I know that, some women don't have as much support, especially with COVID and everything, with the pandemic. Hopefully they're getting a little bit more lenient, because I know some women couldn't even have people in the chemo in the infusion room with them. And so, so that's hard. I mean, for me, I kind of slept. So it was kind of nice to have anyone not to talk to anybody really. Because then I caught up on sleep and did what I wanted. But just my message really is stay positive. And my motto, and I say this on my videos because I had a shirt too that said, "You're a fighter, not a quitter."
Yes.
And you fight as hard as you can. And, you get through as much as you can. And it's okay. It's okay to have those moments because it's completely normal. It's completely normal to yell, to cry. And just so you know, it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay to do that.
That's amazing. When I went to go see my gynecologist, she suggested stuff like she didn't think I had, like I'm going to get breast cancer or anything like that, but my back is curved. So it curves like that, like a lot. And she was like, she was just looking at me. She made this face. She was like, have you ever thought about breasts and, what do you call it? Breast reduction? Yeah. And I was like, I haven't, but now I'm thinking about it. And she was like, yeah, just think about that. And I'm like, okay, because I don't want anything to happen. Like, I'm so scared of getting breast cancer.
Sure.
But they're really big. And I'm like, I check every day because I'm so scared of getting it.
Yeah, no, definitely look into it. Because like I said, my cousin was very large anyway, and she had been talking about doing a breast reduction for a long time, but she wanted to wait till after she had kids. But I know like her back always hurt, just wearing the bra, you got the indentation from the bras. And I'll tell you, now that I'm flat, like I don't wear a bra, like it is, it's fabulous. Occasionally, like I've got my prosthetics and I'll wear those occasionally. But it's like, now I get a whole new wardrobe, and I'm doing, I'm going through Stitch Fix. And so it's that, that online. So I get it every 3 months. They'll send me something, and a lot of times they've hit, especially in the beginning, they really did well and just got me some good looks that would fit, with someone that doesn't have breasts. And so, so I'm still using them 2 years later. And so it's nice. I'm getting a whole new wardrobe, and but then I'm still able to wear some of my old clothes too. Like even some things that I would never wear before. Like I have some, like even if I'm working out, some of the tank tops that have like the racer backs.
Yeah.
Well, or even like a normal shirt that has that. Like I could never find a bra that fit well with it.
Yeah.
Like I don't even wear one now. Like it's great. So it's like now stuff I can still wear that I would never do before. And but yeah, you definitely, even for women your age, I mean, you're so young that, yeah, please continue doing what you're doing. I'm so happy that you're checking them.
Yes.
And I'm such an advocate for that now, because I know when my girls get older and they start developing, like I'm going to be showing them what they need to do. And
Yeah.
it's never too young.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, how does your husband, like, since all of that happened, how does he feel about it? Like, are you ever afraid it may come back or anything like that? Like,
Well,
did they
yeah,
say
we always have that. We always have the what ifs, because every little bump and bruise, I think something's wrong with me. My husband was very, very supportive in the beginning. He even said, "Get rid of them. I don't care that you're flat. I don't care." He goes, "I love you for who you are, and it's not about the looks." And so so that was great. But there's, like I had, like on my wrist here, I had something called a ganglion cyst, and it was like protruding. It didn't bother me, but it was more of like that's an ugly thing. Like, what is that? But of course it freaked me out because I was like, oh my God, do I have cancer? Like, did it go somewhere else? So of course we're always going to have that what ifs. So even though we call it NED, which is no evidence of disease, even though I don't have any cancer, it's still every time I go to the doctor, I get blood work done because now I have high cholesterol. I've never had that before. And so now I've got to, kind of watch what I eat. I mean, I was never overweight, and I would work out even before cancer. I did boot camp, I think 4 days a week. Now, if I do a YouTube video for 10 or 15 minutes, like I'm out of energy, I'm tired. Like, so I can't do what I did before. So even if I do a little things, even walking around the block, I've got to get out there and exercise. I know that. I've got to eat a better, so I mean, I don't eat as many vegetables and fruits that I should be. And I know I need to do better with that. But, I've talked to other women that were vegan, that, had a strict diet, that exercise all the time. And guess what? They still got cancer.
Wow.
So, I mean, they say cancer also feeds off of the sugar, and I love my sweets. I mean, who doesn't? So I've got to learn to do it in moderation. I mean, I'd have sweets 3-4 times a day, which is not good anyway. But I always say too, you do live once, knock on wood. I got through that and I'm still here, but I don't want to not have that. Like if I want a piece of cake, I'm going to have that piece of cake.
Right.
Not the whole cake. But, I don't want to regret it either. So I just, and women, you just got to do things in moderation. And then I know I'm very stressed because, I work a lot. I mean, I love real estate. I'm still doing it. I'm doing my books now, which I'm loving, and I'm loving helping the women. But it's stress related too. Cancer is stress related. And, I mean, I've got 2 young kids at home, and so they've been homeschooled this whole year.
Yeah.
And, so just all of that rings a bell. So besides what you're eating, you've also got to monitor your stress level too.
Yeah.
And so, I hear a lot of women too, that they completely stop working or switching jobs because their job is stressful to them.
Wow.
So that has helped, so you got to change your mind, and things. And now there's more things that I'm doing, once COVID kind of ends, but, because I work so much and I'd work all weekends and nights because of real estate, I didn't travel as much. And my family, my husband loves to travel. And so we decided, we're going to do more of that.
That's
And so,
amazing.
yeah, so we've done little, even if it's for the weekend. I mean, we've gone up north to Flagstaff and just to get away. And and so that's my plan down the road once we can really start traveling again, is to do more of that and take more vacations and have more family time.
That's awesome. So are you working on any other books?
I am. So my daughter kind of has that. She's excited. We're actually working on a couple coloring books right now.
Nice.
And so, yeah, so she wants to be a mini author. And I'm actually working on another children's book, cancer related, for a child that finds out they have cancer, or
A
that they got,
child?
yeah, for a child that has cancer. And so I'm working on that. I'm in the process, and it's going to be, I haven't come up with this. I have an idea for a title, but I don't want to say it yet. But so it's in the works. So hopefully within the year we'll get it working. If not, it'll come out, early next year. So I'm excited for that one too. And it'll be it'll be a boy book and a girl book. So that, the child can relate, like, hey, there's my gender. But it'll talk about, just of a child finding out. And I may not even mention cancer. I'm still working on those details. Because I know little kids, I don't want to scare them, but they know something's wrong with them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about this one too. I've reached out to some women, for feedback, because obviously, I mean, I went through my own cancer, but I never had a child that went through it. So I did have to do a little bit of research on that end and make sure I got some things correct. So, as an author, I mean, you've got to research, some things. Obviously, the children's book with the breast cancer was near and dear because I went through it. So I didn't really have to ask anybody because I told my story.
Right.
So, but it's been fun. It's been fun because I self-published it too.
That's awesome. I think it would be amazing to do a children's cancer book because it may inspire the children who already have cancer. It may inspire them. It may help them. It may change their lives. So that's amazing. I want to thank you so much for coming on my show and allowing me to interview you.
Oh, well, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You have a great day.
Thank you. You too.